lower middle socioeconomic status, and the date of examination was on 16th of September 2020. The mother is of 25 years age, and her obstetric score is parity to living 2. The chief complaint is yellowish discoloration of the skin of the baby since 2 days. The
Just a
baby
minute,
was
Viraj.
yes,
Just a minute.
yes sir.
Okay, so whenever let me just reframe it. Whenever you are talking of a jaundice case, uh, make sure you're taking consideration of patient age with respect to the how many days old baby, male, female. Then it should be having proper name with the surname of mother. Okay, male baby of so and so with name and surname. Then followed by mother's age, considering, and then the caste and religion, and then hailing from and residing from. And then you should be talking about the time of delivery and weight, okay, and how it was done. That should be entirely completed in as a demographic detail, as a like starting with, okay, and then you
Okay.
jump to the next format as a chief complaint. Okay, so you can move from as a chief complaint.
Uh, Sir, is there any significance of caste specifically in case of jaundice? Like any specific caste
Obviously,
associated?
basically, most of the time what happens, we know that this the Mahar community, which is which has their caste, like scheduled caste, or Sindhi community or Mahar community. Yes, there are for jaundice, depending upon the etiology, right? So there is an entity known as hemolytic anemia, or hemolytic disorders of newborn, where a baby can present as a jaundice, and obviously they have a predisposition for certain communities.
Okay, sir. Uh,
Mm,
the mother complains of yellowish discoloration of the skin of the baby since past 2 days.
mm,
The baby was
mm,
apparently all right. Uh, 2 days ago, when mother noticed yellowish discoloration of the skin and the eyes, which progressed from initially involving the face to now up to
mm,
the level of the umbilicus. There is no history of yellowish discoloration of the skin on day one. There is history
mm,
of similar complaints in her previous child, which had resolved by day 7, and her previous child required 2 days of phototherapy.
mm,
The blood group of the mother and baby both is AB positive, and there is no
mm,
history of any ABO or incompatibility. There is no history
mm,
of dry skin or decrease in urinary frequency. There is no
mm,
history of any. There was no history of any gestational diabetes mellitus in the
mm,
mother. There is no history of any drug consumption by the mother other than iron and folic acid and calcium tablets. The
mm,
oxytocin was used for augmentation of labor. There is no history
mm,
of lethargy, inconsolable cry, prolonged or decreased bleeding, or any fever
mm.
or hypothermia which was felt by the mother. There is no
Just a
history of
minute.
any. Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Huh? Divya, can you unmute?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, why Viraj had asked about gestational diabetes in the mother?
Um, Diabetes. Um,
Why he had asked about dehydration or dry skin?
um, uh,
Yes, Kirti.
I don't know, sir.
Okay, Mandar. Mandar.
I don't know, sir.
Monal. Monal. Parth,
So,
why he had asked about gestational diabetes and dry skin
So
and the
Sir,
jaundice?
gestational diabetes is associated with increased levels of insulin. So in baby, there will be increased levels of insulin and insulin-like growth factors. So that
Mm.
is a risk factor for baby to have macrosomia and neonatal jaundice. So that's why the history of gestational diabetes is important in case of a neonatal jaundice.
Okay, so yeah, partially you may be right, but basically in gestational diabetes, there is also entity where there is delayed metabolism of bilirubin, okay, which is causing or which is aggravating or to jaundice. Okay, why the dry skin? Somebody, somebody like Nikita, yeah, why he asked about dry skin? So, Viraj, so what are the
Yes, sir.
negative questions you are asking? What are the negative points you are asking? You should be very specific about
Okay.
with respect to the jaundice. Okay. So,
Yes, sir.
whenever when you are talking about a jaundice, make sure you ask which has the etiology or a complication related to the jaundice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I don't think dry skin is an entity you should be talking about
Sir,
because
no,
dry skin
I
is
asked about. I wanted to. I took dry skin and decrease in the urinary frequency to basically rule out any if there is any breastfeeding jaundice. But then I have also in the dietary history I have given a complete description of the dietary part.
Yeah. So dry skin per se we will not talk about in the negative history because it's a very vague term and it doesn't only goes to the dehydration or breast milk jaundice, right?
Okay.
And not necessarily, yeah, dehydration per se you can say because dehydration will definitely lead to a jaundice or aggravation of jaundice. Okay, but dry skin is a very vague term. Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
So
Those who are
dehydration will present as dry skin only, no sir. And dehydration can be because of many other
yes,
reasons, and
that's the
dehydration will
reason.
predispose
That's
a
the
baby to.
yeah, but that doesn't mean every dehydration, every dry skin will have jaundice. That is what I mean to say. Understood? So when you're talking about the etiology and complication, you should be very specific about that. Okay. Most of the time, what happens when babies are not properly wrapped, their overall skin will look dry, but that doesn't mean they may be having jaundice. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Viraj, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So there is no history of any use of vacuum or forceps at the time of delivery. There is no history of any NICU admission, neonatal resuscitation, or birth asphyxia. There is no history of vomiting or abdominal distension. There is no history of passage of clay-colored stools or dark staining urine. There is no history of any
Just a
seizure,
minute.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Yes, Bhumika, can you unmute? Why he asked about abdominal distension?
Hello.
Yeah, why he asked about abdominal distension? Why Viraj had asked about abdominal distension in a jaundice case? Chaitanya?
There's portal hypertension.
Okay. Portal hypertension. Anything else? So my point is, I encourage you, everybody start thinking. The Viraj is present in that's okay. But unless you don't start thinking, it is useless, whatever we are trying to take. Understood? So apply your brain. You can read anywhere, but this application or stretching your thinking is most important in clinics. So even if you're making mistake or committing mistake, that's okay, but try to attempt the answer or use your first year, second year knowledge and try to analyze and try to attempt an answer. Okay. Dhanesh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Wha-
Sir,
huh.
Abdominal distension can point towards organomegaly, say a hepatosplenomegaly, and if there
Okay,
is
very good.
and this can indicate this can indicate a pathological jaundice
Very
secondary
good.
to say a hemolytic anemia, or say if there
Yes.
is a hepatomegaly which is causing the abdominal distension, then probably a liver disease is responsible for a jaundice over here. So it can give
Okay,
us a
ठीक
clue.
है. So that is one etiology where you can be thinking of organomegaly or hepatic cause, which is causing, or even portal hypertension, which is leading to abdominal distension and maybe causing jaundice. That's absolutely fine. Anything else? What about why he is talking about? I specifically want to rule out a very important cause when he talk about abdominal distension and vomiting. Yeah, Ekta, can you attempt? What you want to
So
rule out specifically?
necrotizing enterocolitis.
Yes, one important cause. But yes, sir, necrotizing enterocolitis is yes important cause, and but make sure necrotizing enterocolitis usually happens in preterm baby, and these babies usually are in ICUs.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, sir. And
So yes,
pyloric.
but that is yes. So
pyloric stenosis.
Most important cause in early jaundice, maybe like within 24 or 48 hours. Whenever there is a complaint of vomiting and abdominal distension, you should be trying to rule out organ or functional or specifically structural anomaly like a pyloric stenosis. So which is again leading to persistent vomiting, as well as sometimes will lead to abdominal distension, but dehydration and leading to a jaundice. This is very lately will cause a jaundice, but yes, it is one of the cause which requires urgent surgical intervention. Yes. Okay, go ahead, Viraj.
Sir, I had a doubt, sir. Like when we talk about congenital hypertrophic pyloric stenosis, sir, like it classically occurs at the age of about 8 weeks. So, sir, would it be right to mention same, or should we say about duodenal atresia rather or jejunal atresia?
No, you can always talk about any sort of intestinal obstruction will lead to vomiting and will hamper the jaundice or jaundice metabolism per se. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Ideal presentation of pyloric stenosis, yes, usually, but that doesn't mean every time the subject will stick to that particular time duration. That's the reason the science is very, very variable entity, because one person may present immediately, but may another person. That's a severity of the obstruction will decide. Understood?
Okay, sir. Sir, and in the chat section, there was a doubt posed by someone. Can someone clear about dehydration? Is it because it leads to hemoconcentration and hence greater chances of jaundice? So, sir, there is a query about that. So, would you please explain same again?
Yeah. Tanvi had asked this one, no? Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Tanvi, hello. Yeah. Tanvi, you are absolutely right. The dehydration part is related to the hemoconcentration and which is leading to the jaundice.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Viraj.
Okay, sir. So there is no history
now,
of any
what
Caesar.
I will encourage. Let's continue the case first. And whoever have a question, you can post a question. We will take the question later because we are running short of time. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes. So there is no history of any seizure or a high-pitched shrill cry or any abnormal posture or any flabbiness of the muscle which was noticed by the mother. So the antenatal history. So this has to rule out all the different complications associated with kernicterus.
Okay.
Like the complications would present in three
That's
phases.
Okay.
So
Go
phase
ahead,
1, phase 2, phase 3.
Go ahead. Viraj, go ahead.
So,
don't explain.
Yes, sir. The antenatal history is essentially uneventful. The child was born on 13th of September 2020 at 8 a.m. as previously mentioned by a full-term normal vaginal delivery with a birth weight of about 3.1 kg. The baby cried immediately after birth. There is no history of any NICU admission. The child had an Apgar score of 10 by 10 at 1 minute. Breastfeeding was initiated within half an hour after delivery, and the meconium and urine was passed within 24 and 48 hours respectively. The child is on exclusive breastfeeding. In the day, the mother feeds the child on demand, whereas at night it is for about 4 times. Both the breasts are used to
Mhm.
feed the child alternately. Both foremilk as well as hind milk is given, and following breastfeeding, the baby sleeps for about 1 to 2 hours. The baby passes urine for about 7 to 10 times per day and passes stools for about 5 to 6 times per day, which is of yellowish green color and it is loose. The child has been immunized at birth for
Viraj,
BCG. Yes, sir.
just wanted to make sure, or just to, can you clarify me how you ensure whether baby had taken fore milk and hind milk?
If the mother had given the milk right since start up to the end with emptying of emptying both her breasts.
Yeah, great. So what happens now, if you're talking about, I will encourage not to come into that entirety. Okay, try to avoid that particular phrase of hind milk and fore milk. Okay, exclusive breastfeeding, yes, you should be talking, yes, but you rightly explained, when you talk about a baby had fore milk as well as hind milk adequately taken, that means mother makes sure she fills emptiness of the breast. Okay, then only it will be possible to feed hind milk. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Sir, one more doubt, sir. Like, is there what is the normal frequency of urine passage and stool passage? Like, it's not given. I did not read that in the textbooks.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
In case of a neonate.
Yeah, that's a very good question. What do you think? What could be the answer?
So, like, between 3 to 6 months, it is about 20.
No,
But
no,
then,
no.
like neonate, I don't know exact
In
value, sir. I
units.
honestly don't know. I have not
Okay.
read it in any textbook, but the child should pass about 10 to 15 times maybe if he is
Yeah.
adequately breastfed.
Very good. Yeah, that is what the breastfeeding. And what about the stool output?
Stool
Yeah,
also
bowel
about
emptying.
6 to 8 times and
Yeah.
transition stool.
Hmm?
Transition stools.
So the reason you couldn't able to find it about the bowel emptying, because it's very variable. Okay, there is no specific what I will say, the quantity as well as the timing or frequency that this much stool should be passed. But what is most important is baby should emptying bowel within 24 hours. First bowel emptying.
Yes.
Okay, that is very important. If baby don't empty bowel within 24 hours of birth, what could be the complication, Namrata? Why it is important to make sure, and you ask this question to when we are talking about his baby or any case in units, that baby had emptied bowel within 24 hours of birth.
Maybe there will be any obstruction.
Yes, very good. Okay, what obstruction?
Duodenal obstruction.
Nikita? Duodenal will cause anything else?
Imperforated.
Not necessarily duodenal obstruction. Yeah, imperforated NS, which is medical emergency, as well as which is also if you neglect, like suppose maybe after you're completing your MBBS, you will be posting somewhere in rural or PSCs of the in the district or civil hospital or PSCs, where you should be make sure that baby had passed stool within 24 hours. If it is not passed, that means most common entity is imperforated NS, like Viraj rightly said, and which requires urgent surgical intervention. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, and also in our case, like delayed passage of meconium would itself also be an independent factor for jaundice.
Yeah.
Sir, and sorry, but one more doubt, like, sir, how to differentiate this stool, normal transition stool, from diarrhea in case of
Viraj, this we will discuss later after the case, okay? Because we are missing the case.
Okay, sir. So at birth, the child was immunized with BCG, oral OPV, and hepatitis B. There is no history of hemolytic disease or any sort of liver disease or a gallbladder disease or any hereditary disease or any splenectomy which was done in any of the family members, and they belong to.
I wanted to make sure. Just a minute, Viraj.
Yes, sir. Yes,
just
sir.
make sure you don't use any. Okay, you should be very specific what you're
Okay.
talking about, specifically when
Okay.
you're trying to rule out. When you use any, the examiner asks, what do you mean by any? Understood? Then the Viva
Okay, sir.
goes in that way. So don't use.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Any words. We're talking about sibling history. What sibling history you should be talking about with respect to jaundice? Talk about that. Which causes of hepatic causes, which is common in neonatal period, which can lead to jaundice. This is how your negative and complication history should be coming up. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Go ahead.
So and the baby belongs to lower middle socioeconomic status as per modified Kupuswamy scale. So, sir, I have completed the history. Should I proceed towards the examination?
Now, when you complete your history, what are the salient findings and positive findings you got in your case?
So it's a 3-day-old baby of Mrs. XYZ who has come with chief complaint of yellowish discoloration of the skin since 2 days, with the history of similar complaint in the previous sibling, and history of oxytocin administration at the time of labor in the mother at the time of delivery, with adequate breastfeeding. Without any. Yes, sir.
Why you're talking about oxytocin administration?
Oxytocin itself is an independent risk factor which can give rise to neonatal jaundice.
But does that mean many of the mothers not taking oxytocin?
No, sir, not that way. In some cases it does occur, in some cases it does not occur. But like in our case, since that was a positive point, so I would like to mention it in summary.
How you come to know oxytocin was given?
Like she said that infusion was given to her at the time of labor.
Okay, so I want to make a point here, Viraj. Mother will be in so much pain, she will not able to give this history to you first thing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so don't come to that history per se, because your usual jaundice history don't go in that way. Okay, so yes, it is an independent risk factor, and it is one of the cause for, but it is we consider as from the clinical point of view, it is the rarest one which is causing jaundice. Okay.
Okay.
So
okay,
try to avoid this oxidation history. Okay, it is unfortunate because you don't all have real cases, but that's a fair attempt by you. But try to avoid this history. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So yeah, and the birth weight of the baby
summary. Just a minute. Summarizing what you were saying, 3-day-old baby had a history of 2-day history of jaundice with previous sibling has a similar symptom,
1-day history of jaundice.
Okay.
Like the baby was apparently already 2 days ago. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead with the examination.
Okay, sir. So the baby was moving on to the general examination. The baby was conscious. The baby was alert and playful, lying on the couch just besides the mother. Posture of the baby in ventral position. There was a complete lack of head control with a straight back with the elbows, and knees were flexed, and there was a slight extension at the hip. In prone position, the head turned to one side and the pelvis was high. In the supine position, yes, sir.
What do you mean by complete lack? What do you mean by complete lack of head control?
On making an attempt of the child to pull to sit, the head does there is complete loss. The baby cannot control its head along with the movement.
So there is a follow up head lag.
At this particular age, it can be a normal finding in case of a neonate. Head control is achieved at about 3 months of age. So over here, it appears to be apparently normal. And there is no history basically.
How you rule out it is pathological, or how you rule out it is some serious concern. My point is, don't talk about these things. Understood? It is
Sir, then, but in general examination, they're directly vitals because we have
No,
to
no, no, no,
mention
no.
posture and attitude. Hence, I mentioned this.
Posture you mentioned, but don't talk about the head lag. When you talk about head lag, it is considering that the baby might have severe complication. Understood?
Okay.
Okay. When you're pointing or when you're talking in the history itself, you are specifically pointing out head lag, which is not required. Okay.
Okay, sir.
That is what I
Understood.
mean to say. So don't use
Unnecessary
too
mind
much
putting.
don't too much information where you might itself come in trouble. Okay, your viva
Okay,
will
yeah,
go in
yes,
different way then.
yes, sir.
Just
Sir, and is there
talk the
any
basic things.
pathological condition, like how to differentiate now? I don't know that.
Yeah, but you are not expecting na first thing. Your history is
Yes,
your history is pure jaundice, right?
yes, sir.
Initial. So present is as a pure jaundice. In the present as a simple case of jaundice. We
Yes.
for undergraduate, we don't want to have you should having more complicated diagnosis. We want
Okay.
to know the simple cases. You should be knowing the simple finding. You should be able to find out the simple causes. That's the protocol. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Mm.
So
Good.
that's about the posture and the attitude. And in supine position, asymmetric tonic neck reflex was present. Moving on to the vitals, the temperature of the baby was 57 degrees Celsius in the measured in the right axilla as well as the left axilla. The
Just a
heart
minute.
rate of the yes, sir.
Ashita, what you will say about temperature? I think you are senior batch na Viraj, 8th semester na?
Yes, sir. We are 8th semester.
हाँ क्यों वही गलती करते हो? Why you are talking about temperature? Ashita, what you should be saying me or telling me when you are talking about temperature? What we should mention? Very good. So this is I have already told you in 6th semester. Don't use the temperature. Temperature is it's an adult form of measuring vitals. But in neonates, we talk about hypothermia, we talk about hyperthermia, and we talk about euthermic baby. Okay, Viraj, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, but in case the temperature is measured, then
still.
Okay,
even
okay,
temperature is measured, still you should why we are about why worried about temperature? We are worried about hypothermia. Understood?
More about hypothermia.
So when we are worried about hypothermia, talk in that context only. So whether there is hypothermia or hyperthermia or euthermia. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, sir. The heart rate of the baby is 142 beats per minute. The respiratory rate is 42 breaths per minute.
Viraj, when you're talking about heart rate, you complete the sentence. Why you complete all the entities of heart rate associated. So how you should be describing? You will stop there after telling heart rate or anything else you will talk about. Radhika, what else he should be talking about when somebody talking about heart rate?
Whether it is bradycardia or tachycardia. Or regular or irregular.
Yes, regular, irregular, or everything else. Simran. All girls are taking. मुझे boys तो देख ही नहीं रहा attend करते हुए कोई. वहाँ पुष्कर.
Hello.
Pushkar.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes, Pushkar.
Hello.
Tell me. Describe me heart rate.
Sir, we have to mention the rate, and if it is more than normal, we have to mention it as tachycardic, or if it's less than normal, bradycardic. We have to mention if heart sounds are heard, if appreciated or not, S1 and S2.
No. We're not talking about heart sound there. We're talking about how you should be describing about heart rate. We haven't gone to the system. We are in the general examination.
Okay,
Viraj,
sir.
you are making same mistake. Yes, regular. Anything else?
Sir, any murmurs if heard or not?
That is a part of systemic examination.
Auscultation, sorry.
So when you talk about a heart rate, whether it is regular, irregular, make sure whether there is a radioradial or radiofemoral delay. इतना तो complete करो. Good
Yes,
volume.
sir.
Sir, we have mentioned
there is any
pulses like separate.
क्या बोला?
I mentioned pulses separate, like pulses were felt.
हाँ, so yeah, even
and
if you're
they were-
mentioning separate,
Okay,
but tell immediately after heart rate.
Okay,
तो उधर
sir.
clear हो जाएगा तेरा. हाँ. Don't
sir.
later on. Go ahead.
Okay. So the heart rate is 142 beats per minute. Regular. The pulses, the radial and the peripheral pulses were palpable. There is no radial or radiofemoral delay. Respiratory rate is 42 breaths per minute. Capillary refill time is 2 seconds, and the blood pressure is 60 by 40 millimeter mercury in the right arm.
Okay. See, don't
There
talk
is-
about the blood
yes.
pressure because
Okay.
we don't expect you all to take blood pressure of unit. Okay.
Okay. Sir, and what is flush method? It is given in book like flush method is used, like what is flush method and how is it done?
Yeah. After the completion, you just ask me. I will describe. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So there is no palar which is seen. Icterus is present. There is no cyanosis or there is no any edema which is present. Moving on to the anthropometry, the birth weight of the child was 3.1 kg. Currently, the child weighs about 3 kgs. Length of the child is 50 centimeter with a head circumference of 34 centimeter, chest circumference of 32.5 centimeter, and mid upper arm circumference of 13 centimeter. So interpretation of the same is it is appropriate for this particular child age.
Yeah. Don't talk about mid arm circumference. We don't take mid arm circumference in units. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Head to toe
But
examination.
what you should be talking about?
Yes.
What you should be talking about? Upper segment, lower segment ratio. Even if you want to talk. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Head to toe exam. Moving on to the head to toe examination, the head appears normal. There is no molding. There is no caput succedaneum or any cephal hematoma,
Very good.
Which was seen. Anterior fontanelle and posterior fontanelle both are open. The anterior fontanelle is about diamond shape, measures about 3 by 3 centimeter. It is not closed as previously mentioned, and it is at the level. It is at the same level. The posterior fontanelle just admits about one fingertip, and there are no bruise marks or over the head. The face, on the face, there is no specific any dysmorphic faces.
So most important thing is, just a minute, Krishna. When we talk about posterior fontanelle, what we should be worried about or what we should be observing? When we talk about posterior fontanelle, so why it is important to mention, and if something abnormal, what it should be pointing out? Yeah, Kshitij?
Sir, if it is bulging, it can indicate a raised intracranial tension, and that is also a cause for jaundice.
ICT, we don't try to mention. One of the cause can be ICT, but it should be really severe, maybe obstructive hydrocephalus. Okay, but we are not expecting in our baby.
Down syndrome,
what I am talking. Yes, one is Down syndrome. Anything else is hypothyroidism.
Yes.
Okay. Don't forget. Don't forget to tell or inform or rule out the hypothyroidism when there is a prominent posterior fontanelle opening. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. Moving on to the faces, there is no any specific dysmorphic faces. There are no low set ears or there is no epicanthal fold which is present. However, there is a yellowish discoloration of the face which is noted. The eyes also show presence of a yellowish discoloration. The nose appears to be normal. On the chest, there is a yellowish discoloration up to the level of the umbilicus. The umbilicus is central.
So Viraj, you talk about eyes appears to be yellowish discoloration. How you examine the eyes?
In bright sunlight, just observing over the sclera.
Yeah. Okay. Is it possible? Anybody can comment what I wanted to point out. Even if somebody, anybody, if you have given attention attending on 6th semester, why you should be not talking or comment? Yes.
So usually the neonates' eyes are, sir, it's me, Kajal.
Yeah, Kajal,
So usually the eyes of the neonates are shut most of the time and they don't open easily.
Yes.
So it's difficult to see the sclera.
Yes. So don't talk about sclera or don't talk about yellowish discoloration of eyes you can see. Yes, mother can explain or mother can tell, but it is difficult to examine eyes in neonates. Understood? So try to avoid this, because then examiner will ask you to how and even if you are able to see the eyes, how you should be able to tell, okay, when you notice eyes, what is the best time you are able to the sclera of the baby? Anybody?
When a child
When the baby is
crying.
sucking.
Yes, when baby is comfortable, when baby is awake or comfortable or feeding. Okay, then baby himself will open the eye, then only you will able to see. You don't have to go touch the baby's eye and try to expose the eyes, because you will not able to do that. Understood?
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Okay, sir. The umbilicus is central. There is no discharge, and a healing stump is noticed. The genitalia is that of a male, and it appears to be normal. The extremities also appear to be normal, and the palms and soles also appear to be normal without any yellowish discoloration. The anal orifices, the oral cavity, and nasal orifices, and are patent. Abdominal
Okay, very good.
Abdominal examination appears to be apparently normal. Moving on to the respiratory system, the upper respiratory
No.
tract appears.
When you talk
Yes, sir.
about abdominal, make sure you're talking about there is no acromegaly as well, because it's very important finding. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Just a second, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Moving on to the respiratory system, the upper respiratory tract appears to be apparently normal. Lower respiratory tract, bilateral breath sounds are heard. There are no any adventitious breath sounds. Cardiovascular system, S1, S2 present, and there is no any murmur that is auscultated. Moving on to the neurological assessment, the baby has a normal resting posture as previously mentioned. The baby lies in, according to Brazelton and Prestel's scoring of wakefulness, the baby is in stage 4 of wakefulness. Moving on to the cranial nerve.
Don't talk
moving on to
about
the
it,
cranial nerve.
Viraj. Okay.
Sir,
Don't talk about these scorings.
Brazelton and Prestel. Okay.
Okay.
I should omit.
Yeah,
Okay,
omit
okay.
it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So just I should say about
So,
starting opening line is
yes,
normal resting
what
posture.
you should be talking. Yes, you should be
Yes,
talking about, when you are talking about the CNS finding, you should be talking about how is the posture, what are the baby's awake sign, as well as what are the neurological reflexes. Okay, the basic and the tone, cry tone activity, what we basically mentioned. So make sure cry tone activity you mention, and then you should be talking about the neonatal reflexes. That is enough
Sir,
for your
cry tone activity, like what should be mentioned? So would you please just tell about that?
So baby is a cry tone activity normal, you can mention that. Okay, cry tone and activity is normal, that you should be coming up. Okay, what it combines up, it rule out hypotonia.
Yes, sir. Understood. Yes.
It also makes sure baby is alert.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and which are these primitive neurological signs which we talk about in units. So when you want to summarize your history, what is your diagnosis?
Sir, I haven't completed neurological. I have. Should I continue? Just a few.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on to the cranial nerve examination, blink response is present, conjunctival reflex is present, there is no deviation of mouth, startle response is present, the child is able to, the mother reports that the child is able to suck and swallow properly. So overall impression, there is no any nerve palsy that is suspected. Moving on to the motor examination, tone of the for the tone of the baby, the baby has a spontaneous movement which is present. Scarf sign is negative, sign is negative. Moving on to the reflexes, superficial reflexes, the Babinski sign is positive. And the other reflexes of the conjunctival reflex was also positive. Moving on to the deep reflexes.
Don't talk about conjunctival reflexes. Okay.
Okay, sir. So just Babinski.
You can always mention the blink, but don't talk about conjunctival reflex, because then you have to demonstrate it, which is not recommended.
And Doll's eye in the textbook, Doll's eye response is also given. Should I mention that?
Yes, you can mention that.
Okay, sir. Reflexes, superficial reflexes is already mentioned. Babinski sign was positive. Deep reflexes, the biceps, the triceps, the supinator, the ankle, and the knee jerk were also within the normal range. Moving on to the important, that is the neonatal reflexes, rooting reflex, sucking reflex, Moro's reflex, asymmetric tonic neck reflex, grasp reflex, stepping reflex, and the glabellar tap reflex were all positive. Were all positive. And finally, the musculoskeletal examination, the Ortolani and Barlow's test, both were negative.
Very good. Yeah, it's very good.
This is my
what you wanted to rule out?
In which case, sir?
Ortolani.
The developmental dysplasia of hips, sir. The child may have an apparent fall or maybe some traumatic passage of through the vagina, so that can lead to a dysplasia of the hip or maybe some abnormality in that region. So for that, I would like to go for Barlow's and Ortolani test.
Okay, okay.
So that's my history, sir. And the
okay, summarize now. Summarize your
So a 3 days old maybe of Mrs. XYZ, who is a full-term normal vaginal delivery with a birth weight of 3.1 kg with no history of any birth asphyxia, who has a yellowish discoloration of the skin since 2 days. And
1 day bola tha na re? You had told me
sorry,
1 day.
Yes, sorry, sir. Very sorry. With a yellowish discoloration of the skin since 1 day, and on examination there was a yellowish discoloration of the face, of the face and of the chest and of the abdomen up to the level of the umbilicus. So with an apparently normal neurological examination, and all the other findings were within the appropriate for that for his particular age. My diagnosis is the child is a case of physiological jaundice without any history of any complications.
Okay. Did you able to get the blood group of the mother?
Yes,
you
sir,
haven't
blood group
mentioned.
of the mother. Yes, I mentioned that there is no history of any ABO or RH incompatibility. The mother's blood group is AB positive, and the child's blood group is also AB positive.
Okay,
I
you
mentioned that
it.
in combination. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay. So how you will treat it?
Okay.
You talk about your case is physiological jaundice, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I would like to investigate the child further. So I would like to go for blood examination. I would also like to go for a peripheral blood smear. Moving on to more specific examination, I would like to check either a transcutaneous bilirubin or a total bilirubin content of the baby. I would like to plot same on.
But if you are talking about a physiological jaundice, why you would like to investigate?
I would like I would still like to know. I can keep the child in case of phototherapy.
So my point is, Viraj.
Yes,
my point is you should have at least 3 differential diagnoses. Okay. The first one, second one, and third one. When you talk about 3 differential diagnoses, then you would like to rule out these differential diagnoses and make sure and confirm that you're dealing only with the physiological jaundice. Understood? Second important point about the investigation is, yes, sometimes physiological jaundice can complicate. Okay. So you want to make sure you're not near the range of where the baby will require intensive care. Okay. So still for that also you will need to have an investigation handy.
Yes. Sir, in my case, like, sir, it's very obvious that it is physiological, so I cannot even mention any pathological differential. So what should I mention in differential other than physiological jaundice?
No. Your history might be talking about physiological jaundice, but there are things which can certainly may not present at initial stages. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Initial stages, baby may not like I think this is 3-day-old child.
Yes,
right?
Sir. Yes.
Many of the obstructive jaundice or many of the hepatic causes of jaundice may not present in first week of jaundice.
Yes,
or
sir.
first week
Yes,
of
sir.
life. Understood? So
yes, sir.
that's the reason you have to have a DDIS.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you cannot.
Sir, but like what to mention? That is the thing. Like, sir, if I mention any obstructive jaundice, sir, again then I will be contraindicated because the child is just 3 days old. and I have taken a history. In the history, I
No,
have
no, no,
mentioned
no.
that.
See,
the
so that's what
clinical
I'm talking about. Even if you're talking about physiological jaundice, but you can always have a differential because you cannot say 100% it is physiological
Yes,
jaundice.
sir. Yes.
That is true.
Okay. Yes. Yes,
That's
sir.
it. That's the point. Okay.
Okay. Sir.
But still, like
Okay.
suppose my first impression is physiological jaundice, and I would like to rule out these causes. Maybe some metabolic causes or some the hemorrhagic causes where
Yes.
like
Yes.
G6PD, you don't have a G6PD report,
No.
you don't have a
Yes.
family history as per. But there are milder cases where G6PD initial may be normal, but later can present as jaundice.
Okay. Sir. Yes, sir. Sir, in this
And
particular
there
case, then
like some liver disorder. Yes, in particular case, yes,
in
you
this
are
particular
in this particular case, you're right on the physiological jaundice.
okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that was actually like in this particular case, there is no history of any history suggestive of ABO incompatibility because both the mother's blood group and the child's blood group is AB positive. So should I go for Coombs
Right.
test? Is it indicated or not indicated in this particular case?
Obviously, it is indicated. When there is jaundice, there is a need for Coombs test. ABO incompatibility, your baby
Like the
don't
mother
have that.
blood group be O
No.
positive.
Listen,
Yes, sir,
listen,
yes.
Viraj.
Yes.
ABO incompatibility, there is no ABO incompatibility in the baby. That doesn't mean baby might not have a minor blood group incompatibility. Understood?
Okay, sir.
So even there is in no history of ABO incompatibility, but baby might have what minor blood group incompatibility. Understood?
Okay, sir.
That's the
Okay, sir.
reason
Understood.
the investigation is required. Okay.
Okay.
So I think,
Yes.
frankly speaking, it's a very tedious and it's a very difficult job for you all and for us also to teach any clinical case on on the virtue on imaginary
Yes.
headings.
Platform.
Okay, but yeah, you all fairly done well and good initiative for all of you all. But what I will say, what I will want to make sure you all in eighth semester or you will be facing the exam soon. I don't know when. Make sure your jaundice cases you're thorough with the case. At least what to ask, what not to ask. Okay, these are things, and where you should be stressing. The more you give stress to that particular point, your viva will goes in that way. Understood? So like
Yes.
I asked you few questions which was not required at this age. Okay. So make sure that you are very precise and you talk only which is required. बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल मत बोलो, बहुत ज़्यादा एडवांस मत बोलो. Yes, you might have a very good knowledge, but then it may complicate because the examiner will ask you then postgraduate questions, which will be not required for you all. Understood? So this is so I will just try to summarize your cases. So first is your demographic details. Make sure you are talking demographic details very well. Many of the students make a mistake when they talk about the baby's demographic details. Many of time they talk more about the mother's details. So which is mother detail in the sense the mother parity, gestation, all this. This is not required in neutral case. Then chief complaints, right, you had mentioned already. But yes, whenever jaundice you're talking, you should be talking about jaundice when noticed. Second, any other associated complaint. Most of the time, refusal to feed is there. Most of them there is vomiting. Okay, these are the basic complaints mother come up with. Then history of presenting illness. History of presenting illness, you should be able to talk about when the jaundice started, how the jaundice started. These are the histories of presenting illness, and what are the things which has complicated the jaundice. Then you come with the etiological causes, then complication causes, and associated abnormalities which can lead to aggravate the jaundice. Okay, these all things should come in a HOPI. Then you should be talking about antenatal history, natal history, and postnatal history. Okay, where registration of mother, when she registered, was there any antenatal complication? Was there any medication, chronic medication? Now I might have forgotten, but I think I miss whether you had mentioned about antenatal hypertension or anti-hypertensive, anti-diabetic, or anti-convulsant medication, whether mother had taken.
Sir, in my case, sir, I had mentioned about this particular thing while in the negative history section itself, and while and taking antenatal history, I straight away mentioned that the antenatal history was essentially uneventful.
No, that is, you should not be talking in that context. You should be mentioning registration details, antenatal medication, as well as antenatal complication. Okay.
Sir, but then this history will take long time to tell.
No, that is important. When you talk about,
I mentioned that specifically previously itself, like at the time of presentation itself, like there was no history of gestational diabetes mellitus. There was no history of any drug consumption by the mother other than iron, folic acid, and calcium tablets. So, sir, I mentioned that.
So that's what I'm talking about. Don't mix somewhere when it is antenatal history, because your heading up antenatal history is very specific, and it should comply. It should complete 3-4 points. Okay. Natal and postnatal history.
Okay.
Rest details, I think you had adequately mentioned, and then you need to summarize with your examination. But yes, examination. I hope you could have the case and you could have seen the case. Yes, make sure on examination, or basically on inspection, how your baby looking, or you should be talking about a Kramer staging as well when you are examining the child and general examination. That is very important. Okay. And what I will say, yeah, that's okay. I think you had adequately covered the points. Let me go to the questions which what question you had. One question you had, I think so.
Yes.
And what?
Flush method.
Flush method.
Flush method. Yeah. Basically, flush method means, have you noticed, or you can demonstrate on your hand only. You tightly hold your hand or finger. Tightly hold your finger. The circulation, where the blood circulation abruptly stop, your skin get yellow, or sorry, pale. Okay. Once the circulation is re-established, it will become bluish, or it's bluish. So what happens when there is a tightening? Basically, it happens with the BP when we are taking with the blood pressure in the baby. Okay. So the proximal to the circulation, the skin will be looking like hot red or pinkish, which will be flushed. Flush means polycythemic look. That is what we talk about. But once the circulation is reestablished or released, or the BP cuff is released, it will be getting normal. That is what the flush method we talk about.
So, sir, at what point do we mention systolic? In actual practice, like at what time do we take the systolic reading and diastolic reading?
So it is basically in neonates we talk about with the context with the gestational age or weeks. So usually systolic we consider like suppose baby's gestational age is 34 weeks, then her baby's mean systolic blood pressure should be approximately 34 millimeters of mercury. Understood?
Yes, sir. No, sir, in case of the practical aspect, like in the flush method, sir, I understood, sir, what you explained. But like, at what point do we take the systolic reading, and what point do we take the diastolic reading?
That's what I'm talking about. We don't measure blood pressure in that context of the flush, because like usually, we have the normograph chart, the blood apparatus chart. Okay. And it is more of a not manual reading. Usually flush is supposed to be a manual reading. Okay, but in neonates we don't recommend, and nobody does flash monitoring nowadays. It is more of the automated multi-para monitoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, and in the exam we don't have to mention about PP. It's fine.
Yeah,
right?
you should not be mentioning about it, because
Okay.
it will be very difficult to demonstrate for you all. Yeah, let me go through the questions somebody had asked. Do we mention Apgar score in neonatal case? It's very difficult to you all mention unless you had witness, or unless somebody is very smart mother. Okay, so what actually the focus should be whatever the history you get from the mother. Understood? You may not be mentioning Apgar score, but we should be mentioning when baby cried or not. If baby cried, it means Apgar is good. Understood? So no need to mention Apgar score. Then ideal duration of breastfeeding. Parth is asking, ideal duration of breastfeeding. Anybody? Yes, this I expect from you all. Let Parth only answer this. Parth, what do you think about the breastfeeding? What should be ideal duration? No. Hello, Parth, you are there or not? Okay, Viraj.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Parth.
Sir, around 20 to 25 minutes, sir.
Acha, so that your okay. so basically, it's very you are asking me, or you are deciding, like I will reframe this your question. Can you tell me how much water at a time you are able to take?
Sir, I understand what you're trying to say, but I just want to make sure that make sure us that the hind milk is also adequately given to the baby. Like what should be advised?
Right. So no. So we had already mentioned about that hind milk. Hind milk will be like a later milk, right? And it will be only possible if the mother is feeling emptiness over the breast. It's not about the duration of the breastfeed. It's not about how long baby is feeding, but it's about emptiness of the breast. If the breast is not emptied, that means baby had not taken adequate hind milk. That is what we are talking about.
Okay, sir.
Okay, yeah, Akansha, yeah, 6 to 10 is, or 6 to, it's very variable about urine output. But yes, ideally adequate breastfeeding should be like a 6 to 8 times urine passage is considered as adequate urine output.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Nikhil is talking about anal dimple. It's very important. Anal dimple, or basically we talk about pit. It sometimes talk about the spinal anomalies which we need to rule out. And or when there is anal dimple, it may be talking about the sinuses over the sacral region, over the spinal sacral association. So you just make sure if it is there, many of them it is benign, unless it is affecting the lower limb what I will say, power and reflexes. Congenital megacolon, it's very it's a more of a radiological diagnosis, and Akansha, in what context you're talking about? Congenital megacolon is will baby most of the time may not present, and specifically in Indian Indian continent or Asian continent, it's a very rare phenomena we come across in units.
So when you asked about the delayed passage of meconium,
Okay. Yeah, so but we are talking more of a imperforated anus, okay, rather than the congenital megacolon.
Okay, sir.
Cretinism, yes, it's a one of the causes for hypothyroid metabolism. More of you should be talking about posterior antennal fontanelle and hypotonia.
Okay.
Parth, what was why? Dipasha, how oxytocin causes neonatal jaundice? this is more of theoretical question, Dipasha, and it has nothing to do with with your neonatal case. That's why I talk, Viraj, not to mention John neonatal case. It has to do with the metabolism of the oxytocin in the liver, which is hampering with the bilirubin metabolism. Okay, Nikhil, sir, in the end, can you please summarize what point I had already mentioned? Is that okay, Nikhil, or you want to? Anything you want to point out?
No, sir. That is okay. Actually, I noted.
Yeah, Anit murmur bilaterally equal. Yeah, we had talked about bilateral equal. Protrusion 0.2 hydrocephalus. Yeah, it will be more up when hydrocephalus you are talking about. Most of the time, make sure you should be aware. Baby will not present hydrocephalus per se unless there is a antenatal history or antenatal scan which is suggesting of hydrocephalus. In neonates, because both the fontanelles are open, it is very difficult to talk about hydrocephalus, right? So make sure your hydrocephalus DD will come only when there is antenatal significant hydrocephalus finding there, or there is a progressive obstructive hydrocephalus where your head circumference itself will be huge. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Akshata, no eyes seen at bony prominence. What was your question?
See the jaundice, so I was.
Yeah, right. So eyes should not be mentioned, but yes, you should be talking about you should be looking at a bony prominence. I think in 6th semester I have demonstrated, if anybody, if you're remembering. DTR is not necessarily you should be mentioning, but you should be talking about the neonatal reflexes. That is enough. When we mention cranial examination, I think what Viraj has mentioned, that is enough. Yes, Parth, you're right. Other blood group, minor incompatibility, where the jaundice may be present, and your history maybe seems normal. And for differential as well as for investigation, you should be ruling out this minor blood group. We had 2 cases recently where absolutely everything was normal, but baby was persistently having jaundice. If anyone has a doubt, please. 20 minutes. What was this 20-minute, 25 minutes?
That breastfeeding duration, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
that was duration for breastfeeding.
So
what
I already mentioned, it is when you talk about breastfeeding, it should be on-demand feeding. Okay. So on-demand feeding means baby may take 10 minutes, baby may take 15 minutes, maybe may take 1 hour, because it's only depends upon their comfort. Okay. So it's very variable, but approximately half an hour time usually is considered is approximate time to get all the, and as the baby grows, the time duration again varies. Which hemolytic diseases will present at day 2 and day 3 apart from blood group incompatibility? Viraj, can you mention anything?
Any sort of G6PD deficiency, or and if the child is given some if the mother had consumed some sulfur containing drug during her antenatal period, so that specifically hemolytic disease will present. Other than that, there will be other causes of jaundice.
Most important is like day 2 में अगर present करना है, so this alpha thalassemia can present, which is severe. Most of the severe cases of hemolytic disorder will present in the day 2 or day 3. Okay. Both and majority of the known cases are usually present in first week or second week of life. So I think I tried to cover most of the questions for you all.
Sir, I had asked also one more question, sir. Like
Viraj,
at the time
is over almost. Bol production.
Sir, at the time of stool examination, stool passage, when I mentioned, so how to differentiate between transition stools and whether a neonate is having a diarrhea?
Yeah, it's a
it's not like how to.
No, you're right. It's a very common question, and you will also might be getting some question because you are at home. So frankly speaking, you cannot differentiate the diarrhea with a transitional stool. Okay, it's only the severity will lead and associated what I will say complaints by mother. Most of the time when there is diarrhea, baby will be almost severely dehydrated state compared to the transitional loose motion where baby will be not in a dehydrated state. Okay. Second important thing is in the diarrhea, baby will have a refusal to feed, but in the transitional state, baby will not have a refusal to feed. These are basic pointers you should have.
Okay.
Okay, I think I'm over time now. I will just conclude here.
Sir, just one last question. Sir, while the patient, child, whether to give phototherapy or not, we decide on that exchange transfusion chart. So, sir, like
yes.
in that plotting on the x-axis, it is up to 7 days. So, if neonatal if the jaundice is after 7 days, sir, what do we use? Or is it more than 7 days also? Matlab, that chart, what I have seen on internet, it is just like it is up to 7 days.
No. It I think you might not have seen the complete chart. It is most of them after 7 days, the chart is same. The plateau stage comes. Understood? The plateau stage
So there is a chart also for after 7 days.
Yes, there is a chart which is ideally the plateau stage come after 7 days. So the values usually be the same. And there is another term we use, the exchange range is the 10% of the weight of the child, which will be considered as an exchange transfusion levels for jaundice.
Sir, did not understood that 10%. So would you please?
1%, no, sir.
No, 10%. Like suppose if baby has a 2.5 kg weight, the 10% of body weight will be
10%.
So 10% will be 250. Exactly. So 1% will be taken for phototherapy, no?
Just a minute. No. 10% of the body weight, right? इसमें divide करो ना. Just a minute. 10% of body weight we are talking about. It should be coming up 25. In 2.5 kg.
2,500 is
2.5.
Okay,
0.25 kg.
Sir. Sir, in breast milk jaundice, sir, if that's the cause, when do we withhold the breastfeeding and when do we suspect there's an increased chance of having any of the CNS symptoms? Like what is the level when we suspect that it can cross the blood-brain barrier and cause something CNS manifestation? And what do we do if we withhold the breast?
We never.
So what do we do in between period?
No. So breastfeeding jaundice. Yeah, breastfeeding jaundice, basically breast milk jaundice we are talking about. Breast milk jaundice is a diagnosis of exclusion. Understood? Most important thing. Second thing is, yes, we can withhold the breastfeeding for a temporary period to just make sure it is the bilirubin levels are decreasing. The treatment will be the same. And majority of time, the breast milk jaundice usually don't have that much severity causing the connectors. Yeah.
Sir, but if we withheld
and in what level can we suspect that it can cross blood-brain barrier?
No, it's more of a what I will say. It's more of a clinical judgment. We cannot have the exact value, but and again age. Like suppose most of the time when if baby is within 24 hours, even cord bill like 5 grams or of bilirubin will cross the blood-brain barrier, right? So it's more of a duration. Milligram a 5 milligram within 24 hours is very high, but compared to 5 milligram in the after 7 days is nothing. So it's a more of a clinical judgment and again for the exchange transfusion levels, 3 factors are important. One is the weight of the child, the time he is presenting, and associated complication. Okay. So these three things, like suppose in hemolytic disorder, your threshold for exchange will come down.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a very variable, but yes, clinically, like most of the time, your bilirubin level might look normal or might look just below phototherapy or near phototherapy, but clinically, if baby is presenting with a convulsion or irritability, shrill cry, then it's a very dangerous scenario where baby already, and most of the time what happens is kernicterus presented the baby, that means you already missed the boat. It is irreversible damage. Understood? And
Yes, sir.
but in clinical setting nowadays we are getting less such complication because of the advances and early pickup of the jaundice. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, I will encourage you all. You can go to the YouTube, okay, and go to the neonatal examination, the basic one, where you will see the video and try to reframe your histories, all of you.
Okay, sir.
That you can do and read about the jaundice and complication. And
Okay.
today itself, prepare your jaundice case thoroughly so that even if it comes a long question, I think recently I had assessed your questions also. You all have given exam, right? Recently?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 8th semester.
Right. Yes. Many of you have written very well, but few of the rest students had not able to score well. And jaundice is a scoring topic. Jaundice is a scoring, what I will say, because if you thoroughly prepare this jaundice case, it will help you in your practical exam as well as in theory. So make sure you prepare it and complete it. Okay. Chalo, see you all.
Sir,
Enjoy.
and
Be
thanks,
safe.
sir, thanks a lot, sir. You took everyone's question, and there are lots of thank you messages in the chat box as well. So thanks a lot, sir. Hello.
Sir left.